This is how you can tackle the rhetorical analysis question. They're also known as bullet point questions because obviously there are a lot of bullet points. They're just a collection of ideas. So let's go over both of these questions. Number 32. While researching a topic, a student has taken the following notes. All of these. Let's look at the question first. The student wants to present the study and its findings. So let's underline some things. They want to present the study and its findings. So which choice helps accomplish that? Well, let's look at all of these. Pterosauruses were flying reptiles that existed millions of years ago. I don't think that really portrays any findings or a potential study, so I'm going to cross that off. In a 2021 study, so obviously there's going to be some presentations here. This person analyzed fragments of pterosaur jawbones located in the Sahara Desert. That is a good topic for presenting the study. She was initially unsure if the bones belonged to juvenile or adult pterosauruses. So, I think this does help present the study, but it is a little off topic because this claim is trying to convey, oh, she was unsure. This was her opinions on whether it was this or that. So in this case, I would not really think about it, but I'll leave it there. She used advanced microscope techniques. That's not super important. We're just trying to present the study to determine that the bones had a few growth lines relative to the bones of fully grown pterosaurs. That's also part of the study, so I'm going to underline that. And her findings, she concluded that the bones belong to juveniles. So let's look at the answer choices. In 2021, this person studied pterosaur jawbones and was initially unsure if the bones belonged to juveniles or adults. There are no findings here, so I'm going to remove that. Pterosaur bones jawbones located in the Sahara Desert were the focus of a 2021 study. Again, there were no findings. In a 2021 study, this person used advanced microscope techniques to analyze the jawbones of pterosaurs, flying reptiles that existed millions of years ago. Again, this answer choice does not convey any findings. So let's look at D. We know it's right, but in a 2021 study, this person determined that pterosaur jawbones located in the Sahara Desert had few growth lines relative to the bones of few fully grown pterosaurs and thus belong to juveniles. And it does present findings here. So we're going to use that. D should be our correct answer. Let's look at this. The student has taken the following notes. Let's look at the questions first. The student wants to compare the two women's contributions on the March of Washington to the March on Washington. Which choice has the most relevant information? So let's look at these. African American women played prominent roles in the civil rights movement, including at the famous 1963 March on Washington. So it doesn't talk about any women here, so I think we can just cross that out. Civil rights activist Anna Hedgeman, one of the march's organizers, was a political advisor who had worked for this president. It doesn't talk about the woman's contribution. It doesn't really explain much about Hedgeman, so I'm going to delete that. This is another activist. Bates was a well-known journalist and advocate for school desegregation. These have her contributions, but they don't really talk about the contributions directly to the March on Washington, so I'm going to X that out. All right. Hedgeman worked behind the scenes to make sure a woman was included in the lineup of speakers at the march. So she was included in the lineup as speakers of the march, so that is important. That was a contribution to this march. While Bates was the sole woman to speak, who delivered a brief but memorable address to the cheering crowd. That was another contribution, so I think we can definitely use these two. So let's look at A. Hedgeman and Bates contributed to the march in different ways. So obviously it says different, so they're going to contrast things. We want to compare them, so A is going to be wrong. And we can read the rest of the question. Bates, for example, delivered a brief, but it doesn't even talk about Hedgeman. So A is wrong. Hedgeman worked in politics and helped organize the march, while Bates was a journalist and school desegregation advocate. Since it says while here, we know they're also contrasting, so also doesn't talk about Bates's contributions to the march, so B is definitely wrong. In C, although Hedgeman worked behind the scenes to make sure a woman speaker was included, Bates was the sole woman to speak at the march. Although kind of has a contrasting connotation, but I think it will help accomplish this goal of comparing their contributions to the March on Washington. Let's look at D. So many African American women, including Bates and Hedgeman, fought for civil rights, but only one spoke at the march. This is definitely contrasting, so D is wrong. C has to be right in this case. Um, so they do kind of compare their contributions. Like Hedgeman, in this case, Hedgeman worked behind the scenes to make sure a woman was included in the lineup of the speakers of the march, and that is accomplished because Bates was that woman to speak at the march. So their contributions are tied, and C helps to accomplish that goal. So C is the answer here.